everybody, this is Jill with Crayons to Pencils, and we've got Cindy here as well.
Yes.
And we are going to walk you through a training guide that kind of will help break down how we do things here at Crayons to Pencils so we're all on the same page.
Yes.
So I think this will be great. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to let you guys know really how it all started. Crayons to Pencils started in my basement, actually. And we had 13 kids the first year enrolled for preschool. The second year we had 26, and I knew I had to get a bigger location. So we actually built a house in 2010 that a preschool attached to it. Had its own entrance and drinking fountain in the house, and my kids thought it was the coolest thing. But then when I built the house in 2010, I actually met Cindy, who was a school teacher at that time, and she actually bought my first house up on top there. And then after that, we started like overflowing with kids, and so she opened up the second location of Crayons to Pencils at her house. And then one day we're like, let's just come together, and after about 5 years of doing that, it was the best thing we ever did. So we opened up Crayons to Pencils Early Learning Center in 2016. At that point, the Early Learning Center only had, it was just shy of half of the building we're in now.
Yeah, other businesses were renting.
Yeah, tons of different businesses were renting it. And then we bought the building, and in 2017, we opened up the clubhouse classroom. That used to be our school age room.
That was crazy.
That was crazy, yes. 2018, we did construction again and remodeled that and turned it into the teal classroom. 2019, we expanded the red room and opened up Violet, and also doubled the size of the kitchen, which was definitely needed.
Yes.
In 2020, we opened up the Crayons to Pencils Recreation Center. That is our school-age facility. That is an after-school program, and we have our own bus and transportation there, and it's pretty cool. It's got an arcade, and it's got a Lego room and a gym and lots of fun stuff. But then 2021, we will complete the silver and gold classrooms. So at that point, we will actually own or have the entire building at the Early Learning Center. So we've taken over year by year, a little bit more and more. On this page, you're going to see the 5 pillars of childcare. In these 5 different pillars, it's going to be a breakdown of everything that you're going to be doing in the classroom. Ensuring safety, working with a team, maintaining a clean and organized classroom, planning and facilitating learning activities, and you will also be engaging with children. We're going to break all of this down in this training to kind of help you to know what's expected and how we do things here at Crayons to Pencils. All right, so basically we're going to let Cindy kind of talk about this one, and we're going to kind of go into what is your role and how does it play with everything?
Yes. So a couple things with this picture. One is that many families start in our infant room and then go all the way up until they're ready for kindergarten, and then a lot of them stay at the rec center through about 4th grade too. So they kind of build on each other, and the families just keep moving as a group, sort of from room to room, age to age, but it kind of builds that bond that the teachers and families connect to. And then we also have families who have children in, 2 or 3 of the rooms at a time. So it really is a very connected environment, I would say.
It really is. And what each step there, it's truly important because you are building the foundation for this child to be able to make it from the bottom all the way to the top. We're not going to really go into this page in detail, but it really just shows that how from infant all the way till school agers, we have these kids. We have them to teach them and to help them grow each year, and each year has expectations, and that falls on the classroom teachers to help them meet those expectations.
So this is the room ratios. So each age group has a different child to teacher ratio. One thing to know about this is to not assume that the office is in tune if you are over ratio. So if your classroom has too many kids and the second teacher or third teacher is running late or hasn't arrived, definitely call us and let us know, and we can problem solve from there. Also, if you have a late day, which happens, and you have maybe half of what you need to, that's also an opportunity for if somebody needs to leave early or something, but it's definitely critical to be in ratio at all times. DHS looks at that, and if anything were to happen, that's one key factor that we'd refer back to.
Yes. So we want to kind of talk about some very important things to know while working here. First one is your dress code. This is a professional environment. We are not just crawling out of bed and coming to work. You are these children's teachers for 10 hours a day. And so we do need to act like a teacher, dress like a teacher, and come to work prepared to do so. Things that are appropriate are jeans, shorts, leggings are okay. You must have your Crayons and Pencil shirt showing at all times. The only exception would be is if you are on the playground and it's winter and you have your winter coat. But if you are in the building, your logo needs to be always seen. It's a safety factor.
Yeah, the kids quickly identify that logo as a teacher, someone that's safe to be around, and the parents really do too. Just as when we go, shopping, you always can identify who's actually working in that store.
Correct. So it is very important. There is no excuse for not having your shirt on unless we've given you a special permission to wear something different for the day, which we will from time to time. As far as your shoes, as long as they're not heels, we really don't care what shoes you wear as long as they're not stopping you from running with the kids, playing with the kids, and being on the floor with the kids. Please don't look like you just crawled out of bed. Make sure your hair is brushed and it looks nice for the day and things like that. Things that we do not allow here, again, this is a professional environment. I want you to think back to elementary schools and high schools, what your teachers will wear. We're not going to wear jeans with holes in them. We're not going to have our non-C2P clothing unless it's a special occasion. Do not ever show up in sweatpants unless it's a pajama day. But sweatpants says I crawled out of bed. No spandex, nobody needs to see that. Short shorts, if you can bend over and we can see your bottom, we'll send you home. Like, we're not going to do that here. Please don't wear slippers unless pajama day or
if you're in
the baby room. Because the baby room, we do keep shoes out of there. That's the only exception is if you're in the baby room. No high heels and things like that. Just come professional. Next thing is, and this is a very big one, is our cell phone. You may not be on your cell phone, on your social media, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, on the clock. Like, that's honestly a big red flag. We will, if we see it, you will get a verbal warning. Moving forward, if we see it a second time, it'll be a written warning, and a third time could be loss of hours. The only exception is we do use Facebook Messenger to relay important messages.
But not that often, really.
Not that often. And we can tell the difference between you sitting on your phone, doing nothing and just playing on your phone versus reading a quick message or taking a picture of the children. And that's okay, but if you're sitting there playing on your phone, that's...
And is there a side about picture taking and what you can do with those?
There is. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, that we will talk about what's accepted for picture taking and things like that. But here's what I want to tell you. You being on your cell phone when you're supposed to be at work, most childcare environments, cell phones are actually off limits. The important thing to know is if a child gets hurt in your classroom, we will submit to DHS and to the insurance company the videos that are being recorded in your classroom. If a teacher is found to be on her phone, they call that neglect instead of watching the children. And you could get in trouble.
It's kind of like driving. I mean, if you're distracted, you're going to miss something.
You will. So get off your cell phones while you're at work. It may be that we will require you're not allowed to have your phones in your classroom if if this is an issue for you. So want to make sure that's a very serious topic and that you are very well aware of.
All right, be in the moment with the kids. This one is, obviously you can see the two pictures. One teacher is very engaged, very excited. The other is probably watching the clock to see how much longer she has left.
That day would be horrible.
Yes, if you have the day planned, you know what you're doing, you're excited about it, the kids will follow suit. If you are bored and checked out and don't really want to be here, then the kids pick up on that, and you're likely probably not having the best day. So my advice is be proactive, prevent the behaviors, prevent things you would rather not deal with by being excited and being in the moment, not your attention or whatever checked out.
And the teacher who's checked out, clearly did not plan anything for the day.
Mm-hmm.
She's just here as a body in the room, and I don't want a body in the classroom. We expect teachers to be engaged at all times and hands-on.
And it's just not fair to the kids either.
It's not.
They shouldn't have a down day just because their teacher has a down day.
Right. This is really important. We are in an environment where we are teaching children how to communicate effectively, and if they hear you using short tones or rude tones with them, they will in turn do that to their peers.
And the kids are extremely literal.
They are.
They believe everything word for word and take every meaning to heart. They don't. It's weird. It's great that they buy into their teachers that well, but you have to be cautious because they will live on every word that you say.
They will. They really think whatever they see on TV is happening right outside their door. So things to know is what you say to them is important, and how you say it is just as important. If you want a child to go and play, well, there's a couple things I think of. The first thing that I think of is that you have not planned a activity, then you have to be playing with them. Kids cannot just go and play on their own. They don't know how to go play on their own. It is up to you to teach them how to play. So instead of saying, go play, you need to say, hey, can you show me how to build a tower? They want you to show them how to do things. Saying, sit down. Instead of saying, sit down, say, show me when you are ready and sitting nicely in your seat. Give them the tools they need to be successful. They don't know how to do these things. They are little kids. If kids are fighting or running in the classroom, we should never hear you yell across the room, stop that, sit down. I don't understand that kind of language when you talk to a child. So instead say, I want to make sure that we're all being safe in the classroom. Talk to them as if they are another adult in your room. Talk to them, not at them.
And just like we teach the kids to tap a friend's shoulder and then ask to play, the same thing. You need to get the kids' attention, maybe give them a little tap on the shoulder and then
So that really leads us right to here. So if you are talking to a child, we would never, if you are their teacher, you are not going to stand, if you're talking to one child individually, you are not going to stand up and talk to them from way up high. You are like a giant. Every time you want to talk to an individual child or a group of children, you are going to get down to their eye level. That will be a successful teacher knows that trick. You get down to their eye level, a gentle hand on their shoulder or on their hands. It lets them know, like, hey, you and I, we're talking together. Yelling at a child from across the room, not acceptable.
And they probably are maybe not even.
They tuned you out.
What you're saying.
Yeah. If you need to talk to somebody and they're on the other side of the room, get up and go to them. That's what the teacher does. They don't just sit at their desk or on a chair. You must be engaging and freely able to move quickly wherever you are in the classroom. This one.
Communicating with your coworkers.
Oh, this is such an important one.
Yes. My biggest thing is not to assume. And that there's a lot of assuming I think that does go on between any two teachers, really. Also, like, explain more than you think you need to. Even when Jill and I teach together, like, sometimes we assume one has this lesson planned or that or whatever, but until we actually talk it out, we find that we actually had different visions of it, which is totally fine. But I think the more you can actually talk and the more, even room to room, if I say it's circle time, well, in one room it could go this way, but in a different room it looks completely different. So I would not assume very much at all, and I would always explain more than you even feel you need to when talking to another teacher.
Absolutely. And you're really going to, you want to treat your teacher with the utmost respect, because that teacher, that co-teacher who you are working with, or in another classroom here, you guys are crayons and pencils. And so if you have a question for someone, for one person, please do not put it on a staff message for everybody to see. Pick up the phone in your classroom. You can call that other room. We don't hide behind Facebook Messenger if something's making you upset. Have a real conversation, because 9 out of 10 times it all started with a misunderstanding. Be respectful of each other. Remember that one, just like talking to the kids, stop that, sit down, no, not right now, we're doing my way, we're doing, those things come across really, really rude, and that will be the fastest thing to put a conflict between you and another teacher. So no one teacher makes the rules for the day. You will need to co-talk to each other about how the day goes. So, and we can talk more about that in our trainings, but just a simple kind of snippet of that would be like, Cindy, my group has about 3 minutes left. How much longer do you need for your group before we switch? You know, really like you would never say, okay, guys, we're done, because the other teacher might be doing something. So really work together as a team on that. These are really important ones here. A couple things to know that may vary from different center to center, but here at Crayons to Pencils, timeouts are not allowed. A timeout is where you go put a child in a corner or they can go sit on a chair. We don't do timeouts here. We can have an area to go think it over, a calm down area. Maybe there's crayons or there's paper. We also do not carry children, older children. If they are 2 years old or up, I should never see you walking around carrying them. That also goes. Please do not, if you are not a baby room teacher, do not walk to the baby room and pick up a child. If they are not a child in your room, you are not to carry them or hold them. Playground, never go to the baby gate, the toddler playground, and pick up a baby. That's a big no-no. Only their teachers are the ones who are allowed to pick them up and care for them. It's just a liability issue. Mealtime, this may be different than some people have grown up when they were kids, but we do not ask the children to eat all their food. We also don't say you have to eat more of this before they can have more of that, because we don't know what they're going to be eating at home, and you know, we want to make sure that they're eating something and not having an empty belly. So you may not force children to eat something. Food can never be withheld. If a child brings a birthday treat in, everybody gets the birthday treat. You may not ever threaten that if they don't stop, they're not going to get one, because they are going to get one. Food is never something you can use as a discipline or a consequence. And we also be very careful of the wording we use. We never say words like naughty or bad or that is naughty. We don't say that word, because that child hears naughty and when they go home, they're going to tell their parent, my teacher said I'm naughty. We don't say naughty or bad, things like that. And we also don't, again, with them being literal, we don't say things like, a monster's going to come and get you if you don't sit down. Why would we don't say things to scare children here. This is a very open, calming, loving environment. This is really an extension of their home where they're going to learn social skills and things like that. And you are the teacher to just guide them in those directions. So the next thing we want to talk about is collaboration. I know we touched on it just a little bit a bit ago, but here's something really important.
So every day you should do a teacher talk.
I'll fix that. We have a spelling error in that. I will fix that.
Sometime in the morning, like the earlier the better, obviously, so you can agree on how the day is going to play out. It's not really, like your day should be planned. You should have your basket of activities ready to roll, but it's more of, weather-based in some sense, oh, today's rainy, so how should we alter our day? Or it's now, 30 degrees instead of 45. What do we want to do about recess time? And also kind of, just the flow of the day as to, who wants to do circle time, who wants to do this, who wants to do literacy groups, who has prepped the things and are they prepped and ready to go. Kind of just that check-in. Maybe your main teacher's out and somebody else is with you, then definitely you'd have to have a good teacher talk. Maybe child updates, so-and-so was sick last night or whatever. Just kind of checking in so that all throughout the day you're not having to constantly regroup and have that conversation, I guess.
So what you guys are allowed to do each day during teacher talk, and it should follow breakfast, is the children get 8 minutes to watch a learning video. We have posted a lot of academic videos that Cindy and I have recorded, and those are what they will usually watch. And then that gives you 8 minutes to talk to each other about what you're going to do for the day. So really, you want to limit to 8 minutes. It's just getting on the same page so you guys are ready for the day. Sharing the workload. This is, we don't have lead teachers and we do not have assistant teachers. We have co-teachers. It is going to be all hands on deck. So teachers are going to come to the table with their own set of strengths, and you need to take time to figure out what each teacher's strengths are. And you will do this over creating lesson plans, communicating with the students and parents, and you will fall into a routine that works for your classroom. And each classroom is going to be different. It really will be. I do not want one teacher having the responsibility of all the lesson planning on their shoulders. It is a team effort for sure. How you do that. So most rooms are going to have a nap time. At your nap time, that is your planning time. One of my biggest pet peeves is seeing teachers on their phones at nap time. Again, it goes back to you're on the clock. I'm not paying you to sit and look on social media. So what should you be doing at nap time? The first thing is your room set? Do you have all the signs posted around your room? Is your helper trip done? Is your pictures posted in the dramatic play areas, in the library area? Do you need to print some of their pictures of them building blocks and hang that up in the block area? Are your daily sheets filled out for the room? Those are the everyday type stuff that you want to make sure are done at all times. Once that's done, the next thing you need to plan together is what projects need to be prepped. So there's the what do you need to be printed, what do you need to cut out, and how do you get to that? It really comes with communicating with your teachers, lesson planning, and working together to kind of come up with what you're going to be working on for the day. You would never come to work on a Monday with nothing planned. When you come to work Monday morning, there should be a basket already prepped of everything you need for the whole day. Well, this is the prepping and planning part. It happens in two parts. Part one is the communication decision making. That you're going to work together. You know what your theme is. The themes are broken out for the whole year, so there's no like wonder what you're going to be working on.
Right.
It's just done. And then what supplies you're going to need. And part two is the doing and prepping. So you'll plan together. Part one you do with your co-teachers. And part two, you'll kind of probably do that individually a little bit. You'll gather what's needed and things like that. So here's how it would work.
So you would take a topic or your theme for the week and kind of brainstorm what you wanted to do with it. When Jill and I did it, we kind of went through the room in our minds, meaning we would say, what do we want to do for literacy? What do we want to do for math? And not only what we want to do with literacy and math, but what are the kids capable of at this point in time? Because they'll obviously be capable of more once, spring hits. We would go through our discovery time. What can we add to the centers to change them up to go with our themes? We would do project to study or actually learn about our themes. So if it's hibernating, actually learn some vocabulary, animals that actually do hibernate, show some places where they live and all that kind of stuff. So we'd kind of really map out all our ideas and then decide what we wanted to do or what we could fit in each day. We always kept a few extra in case we needed to tweak it a little bit. And then we decided who wanted to get what ready, or who wanted to look for certain things. And then we always were a day or two ahead so that it was all ready and we weren't scrambling. And really for ordering supplies from Miss Brenda, you want to be almost a week ahead, I would think. But
absolutely. And so you're going to break it down. So like what items are you going to need? Who's going to do what lesson? And then you will, and you at the bottom of here, you can see we actually have a schedule of what day it's going to happen. So I know that if I'm Jill, I'm going to do the ice cube trays. Well, I know that Jill's got to fill them on Tuesday. It's my responsibility. If I don't come to work on Tuesday, I need to, my classroom's already behind.
Right, or make sure somebody else
can fill in and do it for you. Like they're going to count on you to do your part.
Right.
And everybody has a part.
Yeah, Brenda needs time to order supplies or stuff at the store. If you need to look for things, like if you don't have dinosaurs, then you'll need a few days to find which room has them. And
yeah, the other cool thing is, I don't know if you guys know this, but the library, you actually can call them up and they can get a set of books to go with whatever your theme is ready. Now, library books would never be given to the students to read. That's something that you would show them on your own.
You can read them in circle time now. But
your theme should be really your room that week. We should be able to walk into your classroom and know everything you're learning about that right now. There should be evidence of learning on the walls. Once you've planned and now you've prepped, it's time to take it into action. Your day, this is something that may differ from other child care centers, but this is an early learning center. An early learning center is about 80% planned activities and only a small 20% of free time. And in that 20%, you're still playing with the kids. We plan with a purpose and we play with a purpose. So your day needs to be so mapped out as to a routine that the children know what's going to happen each day and your teachers know. So
you should definitely have a visual schedule in your room that you have some kind of little snowman or apple or something that moves down the schedule with your day so the kids know how much of the day is left. And it's also a good, I think, way for teachers to keep on track with each other and make sure that they do all the parts of each day and don't have some pieces left out or not getting to it.
I agree. All right. Like I say, there's a lot we can cover on lesson planning, and we'll meet weekly to talk about those with you guys. But this is our expectations working here at Crayons and Pencils. We're not babysitters. We are not here to let the kids have free play. They came to an early learning center for a curriculum, and that's just what we give them. We're going to talk about watching your time. This is a key factor in having a very successful classroom. 9 out of 10 times when children are misbehaving, it is because the teacher has allowed way too much time in one of the following areas. And when the children have too much time on their hands, behaviors will start to be displayed that you may not want to see. The first one we'll talk about is mealtime. Mealtime should be 15 to 20 minutes max at the table, but here's the part some teachers may not know. Mealtime starts the minute the very first child sits down. So you got to keep it moving. Children should never wait for the whole class to sit down to eat. If they're at the table, they will start eating. If you want to have the whole class eat together, then I suggest having a teacher doing an activity on the carpet with the students, and then they can all join the table together at the same time. But it does start from the minute the first child sits down. You also want to have your plan B ready to go. So if the children are eating, they should not have to wait for the entire classroom to get done, because the first child who sat down first and the child who sat down last, that's a long time for that first child to be waiting. What you want to do is have maybe the block area has activities set up or manipulatives or things they can go and do when they're done. So when they've been dismissed, if they say, I'm all done, you can say, okay, go clean up your plate, wash your hands, and they should have an area to go to next. That should always be where they go. I would not recommend going right to the bathroom unless the teacher is able to supervise them at that point. So both teachers at the table sitting down, you're not going to have one have the child go to the bathroom on their own. Make sure that there is supervision. So give them an activity to do, maybe just wash your hands, and then they'll go play, and then you can have a bathroom break and things like that. The next one is, yes.
So again, kids and adults really can't wait in line very long without touching each other or without talking too loud or all those things. So I would think it would be always easier to take half of your kids out at a time. So once half your class is lined up, one teacher takes them out, and then the second teacher would take the second half of the class. Waiting for any more than 8 kids to have all their stuff on and line up, I just don't see how it would not be too long. And the kids get hot, they get frustrated, the teachers get frustrated, and it's just not a good use of your time.
It's not. The classroom cleanup time, this is something that also may be new. Children, especially the younger age, are not capable of cleaning up an entire room on their own. They will walk by a toy and not think, oh, I should put that away. Instead, they're going to walk by and think, oh, I want to play with this. So if you need a classroom to clean up an area, the classroom, what I would do is I would assign specific jobs to specific people. I'd walk over to the kitchen area, and the children I see playing there, I'd say, can you guys get the food put in the bucket and put the dress-up clothes back in the dress-up tub? And then to the kids in the block area, can you get the people? Can you get the dinosaurs? Can you get the blocks? And then you go around, and I would give a timer of 5 to 7 minutes. If your room is not cleaned up at 5 to 7 minutes, at this point, the kids are done helping pick up. One teacher needs to take them to do the next activity, and maybe another teacher is going to do a power pickup, because let's face it, we can go into a block area and get that block area picked up in 2 minutes, or it might take the kids 5 or 10 or 15. So clean up, give them 5 to 7 minutes to start, but I would prepare yourself to go in and do the rest of it at that point. So this is not, they're just not old enough to do it on their own. In your classroom, These are things that are required by the Iowa State Extension Outreach Program and DHS to have in rooms at all times. A library area. Now remember, kids can't read, but library is more like a cozy area. If you're watching this during COVID pandemic, some of the cozy things have been removed temporarily, but as soon as it's all clear, they'll be back. Library needs cozy area, maybe even some like puppets and felt board things, felt shapes, just a quiet area to play. Your sand and water table, that is something that you will do on a daily basis. It's got sand. Some rooms have sand permanently and some have water and they just trade them out. Feel free to do things like that, but they should have access to this every day, aside from when it's COVID.
And during COVID, you could also do individual sand trays.
Yes.
Or water bowls, I suppose. The kids, I mean, it's unfortunate that they can't do it with shared water, but I don't see why they couldn't do it with their own water bowl or their own tray, so they still have the experience. And then back to the library for just a second. I think it's important to not have so many books that it's overwhelming or hard to look through them, or that they can't be put away without being in a big pile, I guess. But I think the big thing there is to rotate your books. So maybe you have honestly just 10 books out, but then every week you sort of rotate a different 10, especially for holidays or themes or projects to study.
Yeah. I think I heard too in one of the books, a best practice is having 2 to 3 books per child in the classroom is how many books you'd have total in your book area. Keeping it very simple. I've seen some classrooms with probably 50, 100 books in there, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of books, and the kids can't play with them. Keep it small. Block area, this is very important. The block area, the first thing I gotta tell you is the size of your block area is key for a successful block area or not. You must have enough room for, I think, a third of your children to play in there. Not only playing in there, but they must have a space to build their own items without fear of getting knocked down by other students who are also trying to build. So your block area needs to be a pretty good size. Most people do it around the size of their circle time carpet because it needs to be a big area. If you have a block area that's too small, do change your classroom around and make it a little bit bigger. Blocks must have 2 different types of blocks: dinosaurs, people, cars, and trucks. And there must be pictures on the walls of buildings, things that the kids can make with the blocks. I also was a big fan of taking pictures of things that the kids had built and printing them out and laminating them and hanging them up in that block area as well. They like to copy what their friends have done. One thing the block area may not have is any blocks that connect to each other. Those are called manipulatives. So like Lincoln Logs would not belong in the block area because they have connecting pieces. So if they connect, that's a different area. Dramatic play is another area that is required. Dramatic play needs to be changed up throughout the year. It should have things such as like a kitchen, but a kitchen can go from a restaurant to a kitchen to a veterinary clinic to a little house. Change those up mid-year. The other area is art, especially for your 3-year-old and up. There should be crayons, markers, colored pencils, glue, all those things out. At least 10 different art materials should be available to 3 and up at all times, especially during discovery time. So making sure they have plenty of access. The next area is the fine motor, manipulatives, and math. It's kind of all interlinked together. This is an area that you must have at least 10 different types of manipulatives. That's a hard word to say, but manipulatives, they need to be in an area that's by a table. You must have like interlinking chains, the counting objects, things that they can hook together, they can count out. It kind of all flows in that group. Is like it could be math or it could be like building, things like that. Trade with other classrooms. After 2-3 weeks with the same ones, you need to at least trade with other rooms. Remember, all the materials that we have in the classrooms are not your individual materials. They are the center's materials, and we do expect all rooms to be trading out pretty much on a bi-weekly or a monthly schedule to keep the kids engaged.
Okay, for music, it can be a transition is a really good use of music time, actually. Finger plays are probably the most realistic way to do music. What you want to do is the rhythm so they can learn to count and kind of keep a beat. It ironically helps with their rhyming later on in life. So music and movement, just, a few minutes here, a few minutes there. If they can hold something, that's better. Science and nature, depending on the time of year, is easier or harder. Fall is a super easy time to do your science nature center. You can connect science to your theme if it works, or your project of study, experiments and things like that. Science is almost, at certain times of the year, easier to do with the STEAM or STEM concept, I think. Literacy and writing, those centers need to have lots of visuals, and you need to change it up a lot. I know with our class, they were always exciting the first week, and then we sort of lost interest. So even changing the paper that they write on is enough to change it up for them, or changing from markers to colored pencils or stickers, or just anything to kind of have a novelty to it, I guess.
When you have the children come to group time, circle time is not just like in the morning meeting. You're going to do a circle time, honestly, 5 to 7 plus times a day. It's kind of your transition. It's where you end one activity and you do the intro into the next activity. But when you are meeting with them to talk about the intro or talk about what you're going to do, you should never go empty-handed. You always need something with you. A quick thing will be as simple as a puppet that's going to help with your story. Or if you're going to talk to them about colors or flash, like not really flashcards, but colors or characters or whatever they're going to do next, you want to bring something that they can see, maybe even that they can feel. So if I was going to do a felt board story, I would not hold all of the pieces myself. I would pass one to each of the children sitting around so they have that. They're going to be a part of that story and change it up. If one kid did it one time, another kid does it the next time. Give them something to see and to look at.
All right, whiteboards, laptops, and videos. Let's see here.
This is good if it's done the right way.
If it's done the right way, yes. So the children or the parents or the teachers shouldn't view it as a TV, obviously. What we want to do is show the parents the technology that we do have access to. The interactive whiteboards are not something that's usually common in preschool classrooms, but if you utilize them the right way, there are endless things you can do with them, which will, be very impressive once they get to kindergarten, and their parents love to see it. But you can do games during center time if you find ones that your kids are actually about the right skill-wise for. You can use it for small group. You can use it to draw, to count, to color, to categorize. There's just endless possibilities to use it. You can even do the calendar on there. There's things for all ages if you really take the time to start to look for it.
Some of the websites, Starfall, you could go to.
Their centers, ABC Mouse, we have.
The Account For.
The Account For, you can do that. That would be an amazing center for your kids to do. And what we learned for that is, if you're having kids do it as a center, really just put 2 kids there, because more than that, it's nearly impossible for them to wait a turn.
And right now, the only whiteboard that has where more than 1 kid can touch it at a time is a whiteboard in the classroom, or the clubhouse classroom. All the other ones, I believe, are just 1 person at a time that can touch the screen. So they will fight over it. So you need to have rules and demo it, how to do. If you need a list of websites or ideas, ask other teachers in the office. There's tons of places.
Or Mr. Matt can also come in and show you how to do different things on it, or show you how to get to certain places. But it really is an amazing tool that hopefully is used a lot.
And it should be used daily, morning and afternoon for sure. This next one is when I'm talking about preschool lessons. This is during your academic time. We don't use coloring books or non-age appropriate materials. So a coloring book to me just is just a time filler basically. So when we're learning about things, we do not use coloring books. If you are giving a child a worksheet to do, I shouldn't see 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds doing worksheets on naming the body parts, because they can't read or write and don't have a clue. Giving them blank paper and pen is way better. I'm against coloring sheets. The only time a coloring page may be acceptable is in the last hour of the day, that 4 to 5:30 or whatever. If it's just kind of like if you're learning about with Santa Claus, you could do a Santa Claus coloring sheet. But that's really just like
Or nap time.
or nap time. Nap time would be okay, I think, too, if your kids aren't sleeping. But aside from that, during learning time, there should never be coloring sheets. If you did a worksheet, I would, for like that beginning sounds sample here, that is okay, maybe 3 days a week, but really it should all be hands-on learning activities. And you can make that be like a game, that beginning sounds. If I had to use that page and I was just dead set on that one, I would make it where I cut out all the pieces on the bottom myself, and maybe I laminated it, and then they all had the top part, and we all played together. It's a game. They're going to learn a lot more. Because what will happen is you're going to have, let's say, 2 kids at a table who know how to do it, and you have 2 kids who can just copy. So and you think everybody knows how to do this, but really they're just copying their friends. So this helps you to see who can do what.
And on this one, a few of them will spend the entire time probably cutting out the letters.
And they won't get time to do the activity.
Right.
Yeah, so let's kind of, to move away from worksheets, it's kind of an older mentality of learning.
Dictation. So this is where the teacher writes what the child believes that they drew and wrote about. You don't need to do it on every paper, but I would do it maybe once a week for a couple reasons. One, so that when a parent looks at it, they can kind of put the story together, what the child was actually drawing and writing about. But the most important reason is, as a teacher, you can see the letters that they're writing. How close are they to actually being able to sound out the words or put sounds with pictures? Like on this one, if they had a T by the tree, and that would let me know that they're pretty good with beginning sounds. So dictation can really tell a lot about the kid, and if you save 1 or 2 a month at least, you can kind of go back and see the growth that they are making.
How many times a month do you think that they should do some writing samples like this?
I would say twice a week.
I would too.
And I think the date on tap is key before you print it. Because when they get to kindergarten, this will be like a few times a day that they do this. So the more they do it, the better they become, obviously. And it's important that they have, like this one does, some form of letters and pictures.
Outside time. Oh my goodness, we love outside time. Crayons to pencils. I don't know if you know this, but we are pretty famous for having the over-the-top playgrounds. We are big on outdoor play, but if you are an employee at Crayons to Pencils, our out time play is not a time for teachers to just sit back and relax. That is one of the most engaging times that you can have with children. We want to see a portion of it can be the kids playing on their own and teachers walking around and engaging with the kids, but there's a set where there should be large group activities. That's where you are actually going to facilitate activities with your students. Kids, we spend so much time focusing on ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, but what you might not realize is they're going to have trouble throwing a ball overhand, throwing a ball underhand, skipping, jumping with 2 feet, climbing. These are things that we want you to be setting up activities because you are also teaching them those skills on top of the academic part. So one other thing too is teachers need to be checking the playground. We do count on all staff here to go around the playground on a daily basis, and if something is broken, they will either throw it away if it's a bucket or something small. If it is something that can be fixable, please remove it from the playground and let the office know about that. Balls, it is up to teachers to make sure there's air in the basketballs. There's plenty of air pumps and the needles to blow them up. That is kind of your guys' responsibility on the playground to make sure that playground is working for your needs. Feel free to bring things out like the parachute, and just a variety of different things from the PE cart. Team games. We should see tons of team games. Teachers should not. Games. Yes, they should know how to play like Simon Says, Do Fitness, Mr. Fox.
Red light, green light.
Red light, green light. I would steer clear of Red Rover.
It's actually labeled a dangerous game
It
just
is.
because of the nature of how it's played.
So no red rover, red rover, but you could do doggy doggy. Where's your bone outside? You can go on scavenger hunts with your kids. You can play hide and seek with your kids. These are the things that we are expecting on a daily basis outside. I would almost say your morning recess is more. I would do each time you go outside. Yeah, each time you go outside, you should have the first part teacher led, the second part let the children have their own time for a little bit. But then teachers should also not be gathered up, huddled together on the playground. You have to have every area of that playground covered. If it's just your classroom outside and there's two teachers, you need to be on the opposite side of each other to be able to cover as much area as you can.
And having free play every time you go outside, again, while it's fun, I think the kids would just as much rather spend some of that time with their teachers, learning a game, and being part of a group, kind of balance it out a little bit.
It makes it go so much faster. But also watch for behaviors like wrestling. I see that children have wanted to wrestle together outside. Please stop that immediately. The rocks. The rocks must stay in the rock area. That's our fall service. They are not toys for the kids to carry and fill up in the playhouses or dump down the drain. Please stop children immediately when you see that. When I see rocks all filling in the bottom of the playhouses, it tells me the teachers were not watching the children. And that's just not acceptable. The other thing is making sure that the mud kitchen dishes stay in the mud kitchen sandbox. That is the only sandbox that have items in there for digging is that mud kitchen. There should be no digging in the sandbox where the swing sets are because, again, a child could get hurt. We teach them to go up the stairs and down the slide. Don't let them climb up the slide. Monkey bars would be with supervision. Older kids, 3 and under, the green, blue rooms and younger should not be doing the monkey bars. Pre-K is the only ages allowed to do monkey bars. We don't want teachers really lifting kids up to do the monkey bars either.
Right. My own kind of personal rule maybe is that if they can climb up to it, they can do it. But if I hold them up, then it's probably they're not ready for it yet.
Yeah. So, because what will happen is if they think that they can do it with you there, when you're not standing there beside them, they may try it again and they will fall. So it's our job to say, oh, you got to be a little bit taller, and maybe we need a height thing on there. I don't know. We could. So outside time, don't forget to get some pictures of them doing the group games. Those are big things. Also, the stage is out there. That is your outside classroom. If it is nice, I expect each room to be able to go outside at least once a day and go to that stage. Read stories out there, bring your puppet, science experiment. I mean, there's so much to do. So make sure that you're using that stage the right way. Also, don't let kids climb around the outside of it. Okay.
Parents and teachers. Drop off. So we are in December of 2020 and drop off has a whole new look. Currently, as you know, if you are here, the parents come to the door and that is as far as they go. We take the temperatures and take the children to their rooms. One thing you do want to keep in mind if you're at the door doing drop off is a few things. If the parent tells you to relay a message, to look in a backpack, they're picking up early, something like that, that's really important communication to give to that classroom teacher. Sometimes the parents have questions, which you can also relate to the classroom teacher. It's really kind of the only glimpse the parent has into the day. So hopefully they leave in the morning with a happy thought and a happy smile that their child is going to have lots of fun. You'll learn tricks to have the child smiling. When they leave mom at the door, they can go look at, right now it's the Christmas tree and finding the elf in their room. But there's always something you can think of for the child to go need to look at or go do to kind of distract them a little bit.
During coronavirus, the parents are not coming into the building, but after coronavirus is over, parents will be coming back to your classroom. Even if you're with a group of kids, you should always acknowledge that parent within the first 10 seconds of them walking in the room. Parents will come to the office and say, I felt very unwelcome if they don't get a greeting. So even good morning, good to see you. How are you? How was your night? Those things are very key in building that relationship with the parents. Okay. This is something because teachers might not always know what to do. If a parent is bringing their child in for the day and they are screaming and throwing a fit and not wanting to leave mom or dad, that's a normal behavior that happens from time to time with some children. They have trouble separating. So the parents will literally just they'll try and bribe the child or talk to the child, but they don't know what to do either.
And here's what I think is going through the parents' mind. Like, I've seen it play out many times from my window here, but the parents, I think they're really honestly embarrassed because they're the child that, they have the child that's throwing the fit, and they really want nothing more than for you to help them. But I think there's something where they maybe don't want to actually ask you for help. But really, I'm pretty sure they would rather you just take the child and trust you to calm them down so that they're not chasing them.
Exactly. And a child will not calm down with their parents still there. No matter what they say, it's like, have you ever been mad and then somebody's gonna tell you to calm down? And you can't just calm down. But once the child comes to the classroom or that parent leaves, it's literally like a flip gets switched and they're completely fine. So do take a picture where that child is calmed down and playing with their peers, and they just really know they're having a great day, because that parent, when they leave work, that's what they think their child is doing all day long.
Yeah, and there's so many studies that show the longer the parents linger, the harder it will be for the child to leave for the day. I don't know. There's just a lot of thought around that. So the faster and more smooth that transition can be, the better for everyone. The parent will feel confident. The child will quicker get over the funk that they're in, if you want. So really, I would do what it says on here and go ahead and just tell the parent, I'll just take them for you and we'll send pictures.
Yep. And that's why we have a lot of emphasis on your opening teacher having music playing. Some people have like Christmas lights or twinkling lights in the room, a fish to feed or a fish to go check on, the elf, all those trees or all those things. Make your room inviting and welcoming. Class private Facebook pages. This is very important. I want to make sure that everybody is aware of this rule that Crayons and Pencils has. When families enroll with Crayons and Pencils, they do sign a document saying that we are allowed to take their child's picture and post to the social media page. However, that does not give the teachers permission to use those pictures on their personal social media. It is only to be allowed on the Crayons to Pencils websites. So if you did something really cute with your students, you may not post it on your personal page. Only Crayons and Pencils and the office have the copyrights of those pictures to do what they need to. If you are putting pictures of the children in your classroom on social media, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, any of those, that's unacceptable. You don't have privacy permission for those. We do take pictures of the children doing activities. It is our way to connect with the parents while they are away. In this day and age, parents want instant gratification. They want to know what their child is doing. They want to know who they're playing with. They want to see what they're learning.
And here's what I would say on that too. I wouldn't post a group of 76 pictures because honestly, my personal attention span is about 10 to 12. Break them into different postings so that if you're posting about math, make that one post. If you're posting about literacy, make that a different one. And when you put 76 together, I think the parents lose interest. And I know I am at fault at this. I probably miss out on the best 10 pictures at the very end because I never make it that far. Another thing that I would be cautious of is to post with a purpose. So what you're trying to reflect to the parents is all of your wonderful hard work that you do all day, and to show them the amazing lessons you have all throughout the day, like different times of your day. Do circle time, do technology time, do science. I wouldn't make the postings all about outdoor because you do so much more than that. Show it up. Show them that you provide an early learning center environment and let the parents see that.
Facebook is your yearbook for your classroom. So
and the grandmas.
I also wouldn't do math every single day. Like, I would pick maybe 2-3 days a week, maybe a math lesson, 2-3 days a week of literacy, because you also don't want to burn the parents out. And
one last comment on this one. One of the teachers said that the parents were so surprised during conferences of what they did all day. And I thought about it for a couple of days, and then I was like, you know what, that's because we probably haven't portrayed all the different parts of the day.
Yeah. So we will have a category where a sheet that you'll kind of flow to make sure you're getting all different categories of your learning areas on your Facebook page. What you're going to see here is we're going to talk about when parents pick up things that you need to know. They're going to all be leaving between about 3 and 5:30. The first thing you want to do is help the child to know what to expect. Kids do not like sudden changes. They need to know it is almost time to go, or they will be needing to gather their items to be ready to go. Let them know what you're going to do the rest of the day. Also, I recommend sitting in a circle and sharing with the children what you did for the day as a reminder, because they've been there already for about 7 or 8 hours, so they'll want to give them a refresher course so they know when their mom and dad say, "What did you do today?" they will know just what they did today. Help them remember. And make sure that they are packed up and ready to go. Immediately following afternoon snack, you should be packing up their bags, their shoes should be on their feet, and they should be ready to go home. When the parent comes into the room, that is almost just as important. You want to make sure that you greet the parents, whether you are taking the child to the parent or the parent is coming to your classroom. You should acknowledge that parent, talk about at least 1 or 2 things you did for the day, and give a high and a low. A high is when you tell them something they did really, really good for the day. If you have to give a low, maybe they had trouble listening or struggled at nap time, you want to sandwich it. You want to do a high, a low, and then a high again. So, as an example, today little Gavin did a great job helping his friend build a sandcastle. He did struggle a little bit with nap time today as he kept getting off of his cot. I sat by him and rubbed his back until he fell asleep. He really had fun pedaling his bike today. He was pretending to be a policeman. It was so cute. Tomorrow we will be finger painting butterflies. Have a great night. So you want to talk about what they did, throw in what maybe they needed corrected if they needed something corrected, and then talk about another thing they did, and then also prep them for tomorrow. That is a perfect conversation to have with the parent. It gets them excited for the next day. Do not dwell too much on behaviors that happen in the classroom. If you're having major behaviors, don't go to the parent first. Come to the office, because 9 out of 10 times it is something that can be changed in the classroom environment. And the parents, they kind of look at us like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm at work. I can't help that he didn't sleep well today. There's nothing a parent can say that will make them sleep better tomorrow. So if you're having a major issue, come to the office and we can problem solve together.
And in the younger classrooms, 2 years and younger, they do have a daily sheet that goes home. So make sure that you hand that to the parents so they can know what time they ate and all that fun stuff during the day.
And check their cubbies, because parents do want their items to go home. If they had an accident for the day, please send those clothes home. Do not leave them in their cubby for the next day. You are the one who is responsible to make sure that that child gets the belongings that they need to at the end of each day. The next few slides, we're really going to take time to talk about some odd and ends little things that you're going to have in your classroom. So these are some things to really take notes on, because they're very important to crayons to pencils and how we do things around here.
Toys in the mouth. So with the younger ones, whenever they are chewing on a toy, you want to put it in the sink, and then during nap time, go ahead and sanitize those toys so they don't share germs, of course. The older ones actually will chew on things too, like they'll chew on markers or pencils, anything that's soft. Just because they're older, I wouldn't assume that they never chew on things. Obviously, just put them to sanitize later so we can cut down on germs.
Everything has a place. Basically, we do not have the toy box mentality here at Crayons to Pencils. Everything must have its own area to be in, with labeled pictures for each cubby. If you do not have pictures labeled for your cubbies, we do recommend you going ahead and getting that done sooner than later. Want to get it where you will take a picture of the item, you will laminate it, and then put it on the bucket and also on your shelf. This helps the children know what items go in what area and where the bucket goes on the shelf. Accidents. Accidents are going to happen. This is probably the most unfun part of the job, but it is inevitable. Even it will happen in elementary schools. It truly does. So there's a couple things that you need to know, and some of these things might seem like common sense to some, but others may not be. So I want to make sure we're all on the exact same page. You need to check every child's backpack daily to make sure they have extra clothes. If you notice that they are out, please send a message to the parents letting them know that they need to have a pair of extra clothes here because an accident is going to happen. An accident is not just a potty accident. It could be they spilled milk all over their shirt or their friend's cereal bowl spilled all over their lap. So you do want to make sure that they have extra clothes each day. I also want to make sure that I remind my parents to, in the summertime, they tend to bring summer clothes. In the wintertime, they bring winter clothes. Switch those clothes out so they bring the right type of clothes because, if it's a 10 below zero and they have a tank top and shorts and they had an accident, that's not going to be good to send them home in. So if they first check the child's backpack if they had an accident, they do not have any clothes, check the staff room, or each classroom should have their own supply of extra clothes as well. Plan on, though, if you send them home in extra clothes, you're probably not going to get them back.
Right.
So do keep track to know, like, hey, everybody, we are running out of our extra clothes is dwindling. Please bring extra clothes for your children. If it is before 2 o'clock and the washer and dryer is open, there is no reason you couldn't throw a load of laundry in of their accident clothes. I would recommend doing that out of a courtesy to your parents because, again, the parents pay your paycheck.
And if you don't wash them, I would label them or let the parents know that they're coming home and that they need to look for them to wash them.
That reminds me, I personally would not want them in my child's backpack because as a parent, I'm not always paying attention to what outfit my child is wearing now versus what they wore in the morning. And so if I pick up Zoe and she had an accident that day and she has her extra clothes on, I might think I dressed her in those clothes and I'm not going to go looking for her backpack to find extra clothes. Nothing is worse than opening a backpack 2 or 3 days later with pee clothes in there. It is bad. So I put them in a clear plastic baggie or a Target sack or something and I hand them to the parents separately so that way they know they need to be washed immediately. Potty accidents, too, they do need to be changed immediately. Never will you say things like, well, you peed in them so you can stay in them. That doesn't happen. Not allowed. They need to be changed immediately. Also, poop clothes need to be rinsed out. You may not leave chunks of poop in the underwear. I don't want you touching them. What you'll do is you'll put your gloves on as you would with any accident, and you'll hold the top of the underwear into the toilet area. Hold onto the underwear tight. Do not let go of the underwear. You will flush the toilet, and the toilet suction will pull off most of the poop from the underwear. So make sure that you are not sending a child's bag of pee clothes home or potty accident clothes home with chunks of poop all throughout the bag too. That is just disgusting. If they have an accident at nap time, the cots will need to be sprayed down with your bleach spray or your sanitizer. You must wear gloves when changing a child. Also, if they do have a poop accident, you're going to need to wipe them with wet wipes until they are completely clean. You need to make sure that you are wiping them until no poop or other stuff come onto the wet wipe, and wet wipes may never go in the toilet. I'm going to repeat that. Do not put wet wipes in the toilet. It will cause major problems later on. You don't want that. It would be bad. Also, look at the children's clothes that they are wearing. 9 out of 10 times, a lot of your darker jeans or your dark sweatpants, you will not be able to tell that they have had an accident. You can't see it, so you need to be checking to make sure that they are dry after snack time, after meal time, when you come in from the playground, after nap time. Do a check. If a child generally has accidents, check them. A lot of signs that they had an accident is they're hiding behind toys, they don't want to go play, but do take the child's feelings into account. They are a person. I don't know if you've ever had anything embarrassing happen to you, but the last thing that you would want is for somebody to call it out in front of everybody. So just like, oh, it's okay, no worries, come with me, we'll go get changed, and go from there. So please be respectful. They're learning just as much as we all are. So please do not make them feel ashamed that they had an accident. Accidents happen.
So at Crayons to Pencils, we like our hallways to be neat and clean for a few reasons. One is we often have visitors or people from AEA coming to work with children for speech and other things. So we want to present a clean environment for childcare. The other reason is more of a safety reason. The hallways need to be clear at all times from both toys, like Also large toys like bouncers or blow up mats or whatever, they cannot be in the hallway because if there were a true fire drill, we would need to exit pretty quickly, and the cribs from the babies, they need to actually be able to roll through the hallways outside, and we of course never know when that's going to take place. So if you don't want a toy, you can put it in one of our storage rooms that is not actually the staff room, or see if another classroom wants it, or if it's broken, then it should be thrown away and not stored. But do take your trash out. When you get it ready, just take it right out all the way to the dumpster instead of putting it on the floor or momentarily placing it somewhere, because it always ends up in the background of a picture and then that just doesn't work.
Trash should be taken out after breakfast and immediately following lunch and immediately following snack. So you should be taking your trash out 3 times a day. Food should never be left in the classroom. Broken toys. It is up to the teachers, both in your classroom and on the playground, to ensure that what your children are playing with are in good repair. If something is broken, you are the one who is going to need to dispose of it or fix it. If it's something major, please do let the office know. When the office buys items for you guys, they go out to the playground in good repair. We are not then checking to see if they're broken. We do leave that up to the playground teachers when you are outside. So if a bucket has a small crack in it, it's got to go. And look for the broken pieces, the little tiny pieces around. If they're on the ground, pick them up because somebody could get cut with that. Throw them away. Kids throw things crack, things break. That's part of a playground, I guess, in classrooms. Broken bikes or scooters or bats and gloves, anything broken, get rid of it. If it's a ripped parachute, we are not going to be playing with a ripped parachute. That needs to go into the trash. Helmets, if helmets need to be replaced, then let the office know and we will get new ones. We do not want kids running around with items that are just not safe. Another thing to look for is like dump trucks and things like that. If the back part of it or the front, it has a little crack in it or rust on it, it needs to go thrown away. The mud kitchen has a lot of cool toys in there, but it needs to be spatulas and spoons only, but make sure that they are not broken either. It is your responsibility. We need your help. Another big one for me is on the playground, it is a teacher's responsibility to make sure that all of the balls have air in them. There are plenty of ball pumps. If you are not doing an engaging activity with your students, we do expect you to be at least, you can walk around and pump up a couple balls with the air pump to keep it going. Nothing is more embarrassing than bringing a parent to pick up their child. They want to grab a basketball to play with them and the ball is flat. So I am putting that on the teacher's responsibility to make sure that the playground and your classroom is in good repair.
Also, while you're on the playground, we need to constantly be looking for safety. So if something is missing a screw, or you find a screw, or it's missing a seat like on a trike, or you notice that something is maybe part of the mud kitchen, part of the wood is, I don't know, sticking out that could cause splinters, or the stage, I know 1 or 2 of those pegboards have fallen or come off at some point. So those are things that we do need to know as well so we can get those fixed.
Also, if you find a screw in the playground, don't throw it away. Bring it to the office because chances are it fell out of something and we can put it back into it to fix it. Mr. Matt is someone that you will see around both locations pretty frequently. He's actually my husband, and after 15 years working at Principal Financial Group, he left to come and work with us here, and we've loved having him ever since. So he's kind of your go-to person. Basically, if you have any questions with your technology in your classroom, whether it be your computers or your whiteboards, or if anything breaks, he is Mr. Fix-It. So please, if you have major things to hang up on the wall, like maybe shelves need to be attached or something of that nature, he's your person who will hang them up to make sure that it's secure and safe for everybody. He also can teach you how things work if you're having trouble learning it, and fixes things. So if you have any questions, you can always message him on the maintenance log that we have through our Facebook Messenger. Cleaning the classrooms, kind of taking that, keeping your classroom in good repair. not only are we talking about cleaning and keeping things broken, but your classroom needs to be cleaned every single day. You are the one who's going to make your room shine and sparkle. So when you are down to a few kids at the end of the day, you may start cleaning. You would never start cleaning before 4:30, 4:20, 4:20, 4:30 in there, because you know hands on deck. You would also never let one teacher take the kids outside while you stayed inside. That would put your room out of ratio. You must always maintain ratio through the day. So, but it is okay to vacuum with children in the classroom at the end of the day. It is okay to wipe down tables throughout the day, all day long. It is okay to close off an area and say, you know what, for the last hour of the day, we are only playing in this side of the room. You can do things like that. You must mop your classroom every other day. You want to add a little bleach in that. There's a cleaning tools. If you do not know how to fill the mop buckets, please ask a teacher in your classroom. If they're unable to help you, ask a surrounding classroom and they can help you with that.
One thing you do want to watch with cleaning the floors with bleach, make sure your kids aren't sitting on it when it's wet, because if it does truly have bleach in it, it will stain their clothes. So if you're going to bleach with the kids there, then you need to mark that area off until it's dry.
When you do fill the mop bucket up, fill it halfway. I've seen teachers just put like a little tiny bit of water at the bottom. That's just going to take dirty water and spread it all around. Also, this is going to seem common sense, but numerous times we have seen people go in and vacuum, and visibly you can see sand and dirt or whatever from the playground on the carpets. They run the vacuum. That vacuum makes a sound, but yet there's still sand and dirt on the carpet when they're done. Well, they say, well, I heard a vacuum. It has to suck up the stuff. If it is not sucking up stuff when you vacuum, probably needs a new bag or it is clogged. Ask a surrounding teacher or the office for assistance if you do not know how to do that.
Or like the vacuum I have at my house, if it's on carpet setting, it sucks up on the thicker carpet, but if it's just on the floor setting, it acts as if it is vacuuming, but it's not low enough, or it's too low to the ground that it's not actually working. So you do want to check the settings, because maybe somebody used it to do the hardwood floor, but then you're trying to use it on the carpet and it isn't like set at the right height, I guess.
So each day you're going to make sure your bathrooms are clean, your tables are clean, your chairs and your chair legs are clean. You'll want to also clean the play kitchen areas, your dramatic play shelves. Take those buckets out and wipe underneath them. Make sure your windows or mirrors in your room look clean. These are things that divide out.
Each room should have a cleaning log. So they have areas that they, on certain days, deep clean versus sanitize versus picking up type cleaning, and those need to stay in your binder that's in your classroom and signed off on.
And DHS, when they come for our annual visits or pop-in visits, they will ask to see your binders. So please make sure that you are logging your cleaning. That's part of a rule and regulation we have, is that our cleaning logs need to be easily accessible and visually seen that it is done. So really make sure that your room is clutter-free, nothing on the top of shelves and cubbies, and that the walls are organized and clean. Do not have we don't staple. We do not put staples in the wall unless you have permission from the office. You may do tape or sticky tack.
Not shipping tape, though.
Not shipping tape. Do not put shipping tape on your walls. Do not put staples on your walls. When you take those items off, it leaves holes everywhere and it just looks bad. And we're not going to have a painter come in and paint your walls every year. So it is up to you to keep the walls clean. You'll need to wipe down the walls too every few weeks. Probably every other week I'd wipe down the walls, and the garbage cans need wiped down too. So there's a lot of cleaning to keep your room looking nice and fresh, as it does in this picture.
Fevers, medication, and parent communication. So here at Crayons to Pencils, we do not give medication unless it has gone through the office. The parents, according to DHS, have to fill out a form and sign it for any medication to be given. Fevers, we want to make sure the child is actually sick before making the parents come and get them. A fever, we usually use 2 or 3 thermometers because the ones that scan are not always accurate. Teething for the little tiny rooms are a little bit different, but again, mom and dad need to know before you give medicine. The one caution here is we don't want to over medicate the kids, so you wouldn't just give a child ibuprofen without asking, because maybe mom already gave it that morning or maybe dad already gave it that morning, and then you wouldn't want to overdose the child. But yeah, kids have, they just have off days, they have tired days, but parents probably only have about 4 to 5 sick days a year. So we really, out of 365 days, have to pick our 4 days to send them home very carefully.
Absolutely. When do we send them home? So we're going to send a child home if their temperature is 100.4 or above. Now, if a teacher sends me a picture because we have a illness message group that we can send a message out to, if I get a message saying that child has a temperature and you take a picture of the thermometer and it shows me 101, I'm going to ask you to take a picture, to take her temperature or his temperature on 2 other thermometers that are different than one in your classroom. For one, I have seen it where it does give a false fever when it is not actually a fever. I am not calling a parent out of work for no fever. So I want to triple check. It is not that I do not believe you. It is that I am really making sure that if I'm going to call a parent from work, that child is really sick and they need to go home. If they have diarrhea, that's kind of a gross topic to talk about, but here's how this works. There is a difference between having a runny diaper and having diarrhea. Kids are going to have certain foods that just kind of go right through them, and it might be a mixture of poop and runny, watery, nasty stuff, but it's not necessarily diarrhea. Diarrhea is pure liquid, where it goes up the back, down the legs if they're in diapers, like it's going to go everywhere. That is we call them a blowout. If a child in a diaper or a child on the toilet has a instance like that, where it's pure water, it's just everywhere, that is one. If they have it again, not within the first 5 minutes, if they go play and they come back to the toilet, a little while later and do it again, that would be instance number 2. After instance number 2, we're going to send the parents a message saying, hey, they've had diarrhea twice already. If they have it a third time today, they're going to go home. We want to give the parents a heads up that could happen. Again, if they go to the bathroom and then 2 minutes later go again, that does not count as 2 times. That's still the one. There needs to be a good 20 to 30 minute break in between for it to be 2 instances. And on the third one, then they would have to go home. You will let the office know. We will say either for you to message the parents or we will, but we have to give permission for them to go home. And we would actually have a paper in the office that a child who is sick will get that says when they can come back. All right. Okay, kind of winding down a little bit. Let's say that there's a day that you are gone. First of all, we are starting to track attendance very closely going forward. We know that it is not good for little kids to have subs in their classroom. I know sometimes we can't do anything about it, but we are going to be watching to make sure each classroom is as consistent as it can be, just as you would expect for if you have a child's kindergarten or first grade teacher. You are just as important as them to your children in your classroom. So if there's a sub, you need to, let's say that one teacher is the normal teacher in the room and the other teacher is helping you out for the day. That teacher who is the normal teacher, I know it's going to suck, but you do need to take time to explain to the other person helping you out how your day works. Is there a routine posted in your classroom? There should be a routine on the wall that is easily visible to know that I can see when snack is, when math is, when literacy is, and there should be a chart that we can easily see that. You're going to let the teacher know what you guys are going to do for the day and what you need help with for the day. I also recommend at nap time having a layout of your classroom with a map that says where each child takes a nap at. Nothing is more hard than, let's say for some horrible reason, both teachers are gone for the day and 2 subs are coming in. Children need structure and they need consistency. So have a map of your classroom where they sleep to make sure that they are all, it'll be easier for the teachers. Also, I would have a 1 or 2 page document with a picture of each child with their name and a few little things about them. Could be Zoe, and Zoe has a hard time coming in from recess. Zoe needs to have you sit by her when she sits down. And then, Gavin is allergic to milk. He must have special milk. And I mean, just little things that anybody who is coming in at a moment's notice would need to know. So make sure that is on your desk, so that way a sub would be able to find it. Director's roles. This one, a lot of times you guys are going to see us in our office. We are not always out and about. Don't get me wrong, we are watching on the cameras constantly. We have our own schedule of when we tune into each classroom throughout the whole day. So we are watching everything, but in addition to that, some things, just to kind of give you an idea of what we are doing each day, is our job is to set the center up for success. We set the tone. We actually help facilitate the curriculum. We make sure that the facility is maintained and safe. We hire and interview staff. We do staff trainings, which is one of the ones you're doing right now. Cindy really does an amazing job going above and beyond and getting the notes for our meetings that we're going to have, the agenda, making sure that you guys are getting the training that you need. We see what's going on in the rooms, we listen to what you say, and we really work to help provide training and feedback on those topics. If you have a topic you're wanting, sometimes we cannot solve it right then and there when you stop in our office. Please do not come to our office with the issue. Please send us a message saying, here's what we're finding, here's what is happening, could you please tune in? And then if a child is acting out, send us the time log so we can pull it up on the camera and watch it, because sometimes we are in our own meetings that we can't just stop everything and go. We are also following all the rules and requirements by DHS, managing the financial affairs, advertising, managing kid and staff files, which takes a huge time frame there, a huge amount of time, ordering supplies, communicating with parents, weekly statements, answering questions. We're scheduling events, we're doing tours for new families, and that happens nights and weekends and daytime. So please, if you leave here at the end of the day, there is a very high chance that I will be bringing, or Cindy will be bringing, somebody through here in the evenings. It needs to be all organized. We are, again, the list goes on and on and on. We have a very heavy load that even with 2 of us, there's days we could work 60 hours a week and still not get done. So Cindy and I do probably work
with 2 locations.
With 2 locations, we probably put in, honestly, about 60 hours a week of work. So it's definitely keeps us busy, but we do that for you because we have a passion for this.
Expectations of staff. What we're really looking for is self-sufficient classrooms. While it's easy to, in your own room, think of a lot of ways that we could come in and help, we're looking at it from your room as being one of 11 classrooms, and kind of we have to just touch on all of them all the time to keep them going and operating, and different ones need more at different times than others. So
we have about, when all construction is done, about 50 to 60 staff.
So we're definitely looking for classrooms to plan your day efficiently and play out your day smoothly as best you can. Of course, let us know when you do need help, but really it's kind of your room and your responsibility, but also your rewards from all the great things the kids learn.
And I am a big advocate of, if I'm having trouble with a child in my classroom in all the years that I taught, I would research. Yes, Cindy and I are totally able to give ideas and feedback, but I also would research myself. I read a ton of books. I looked up things. I looked up tools. I always started with, what can I do first before, because it's 9 out of 10 times not the child's problem. It's something in the classroom that's just an easy tweak of rearranging the schedule, and things like that. What we're going to do this next part is there's going to be a couple videos that I want you to take time and watch. On these videos, it's going to show you things like how to supervise your classroom, proper hand washing, table sanitization, and diaper changing that everybody needs to know. A lot of these are set forth from DHS. And so when they come in to do their pop-in visits, they will check to see you do that. And I want to make sure that we're all trained properly. So this will conclude this part of the training. Please take notes of the videos that you're about to watch. And if you have any questions, never hesitate to ask.